January 12, 2024. Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Premier League Preview Show on Citi TV. My name is Gabi Offense. Very interesting weekend coming up in the Premier League. It's match week 21. Remember that we had the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup taking center stage. But this weekend, it's time for the Premier League. My guests are here. I'll get to introduce them in a bit. But let's take a quick break. When we come back, then we get into the talking. All right, welcome back. This is Citi TV's the Premier League Preview Show. We're building up to a very interesting weekend. We've actually got two big games coming up for you. Chelsea are taking on Fulham. We'll get into that in a bit. But my guys are here. I've got Kwame Safo Oheneba and also Imadon Lubo to get into the discussion today. But guys, I mean, how's your week been? I mean, it's Friday. The week is almost over. Let me start off with Kwame. What have you been up to? I know the AFCON is just around the corner.
The week has been full of expectation as to what to expect for the AFCON, getting information when it comes to countries, how everyone is preparing. It's like you feel the energy. And this whole week too, you just had Carabao football.
Matches taking place, the FA Cup.
If you're a Chelsea fan, you're upset. If you are not, you are happy. So this week has been good, but then there's more to come. We just can't wait for the Asian Cup, the AFCON, and the English Premier League.
Also,
we are just going to be... I mean, this is football heritage.
No, but I mean, you were with us earlier on the AFCON Daily Show. The Premier League will still be happening. I mean, people have been asking me that... the Premier League will still be in session. Some clubs are going to lose their key players to the AFCON. I don't know what you make about all of that.
Well, I think for clubs, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
If I look at a team like Nottingham Forest, I think about 4 or 5 of their starting lineup is in the AFCON. So for a team where they're trying to beat the drop, it's going to be challenging for them. But then you ask yourself, as a coach, you should know what is coming. So you should be planning for things like that. But for us on the other side, we love to watch the Premier League because we have some African players in there, and then their performance and all those things excite us. So it's more like we'll be served two like equally good dishes. You'll be watching the AFCON to see how best your team or your country is performing, or even your favorite players. You'll also be watching your favorite team in the Premier League. So for me, I mean, it's football, as you said, football heritage.
Even for the excitement.
There's no ending to it. Yes.
All right. I mean, so it's match week 21 of the English Premier League. Like I said earlier on in my intro, it was the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup that took place in the past few weeks. For Chelsea, they started well in the FA Cup. They beat Preston North End by 4-0, only for them to go lose to Middlesbrough in the first leg of the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. But that is done and dusted. But let's check out the fixtures for match week 21 before I get a thought of the guys. So, yes, there you have it. There's on Friday, that's later tonight, there's Burnley taking on Luton at 7:45 p.m. at the Turf Moor. Later tomorrow, we've got Chelsea up against Fulham, and that's a London derby. Newcastle United are up against Manchester City at the St. James's Park. Then Sunday has got Everton taking on Aston Villa. And then the big one, Spurs, Ange Postecoglou's side are up against Manchester United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So it's 6, that's
5 games.
5 matches, yes, for you to enjoy from Friday to Sunday. Yeah, so that's a big one. But of course, my pick of week 21 will be Manchester United and also Spurs and also Newcastle taking on Manchester City. But let's start off with Chelsea's game against Fulham. Remember that in the Premier League, Chelsea ended 2023 on a very good note. I don't know what you think about it. Was back-to-back wins for Chelsea. They beat Crystal Palace earlier on, and then they went on to pick 3 valuable points at the Kenilworth Road against Luton Town. Let's check out that highlight when we come back, and then we'll build up to Chelsea taking on Fulham this weekend at Stamford Bridge. So Chelsea ended in 2023 with 3 big points at the Kenilworth Road. Remember that Chelsea will lose Nicolas Jackson to the AFCON. He's going to feature for Senegal. But in the past week, Cole Palmer granted a very interesting interview where he was talking about the fact that it was just 2 options for him at Manchester City. He actually didn't want to leave Chelsea, and the options for City for him was either he stays or he leaves. And then he decided to go because I mean, he wanted to go on loan, go perform and come back. I mean, I don't know. Chelsea are going into the Fulham game on the back of the 1-0 defeat to Middlesbrough in the Carabao Cup semi-final. Pochettino, I've seen so many stories surrounding him that he's been given some games to win, and that if he doesn't win, Hansi Flick takes over as head coach. Those are the rumors popping up. I can see
music to my ears.
But I mean, someone talks to me about Chelsea. It's a London derby. In Chelsea taking over Fulham. I don't know what you think. Jackson especially. Let's highlight Jackson. Yeah, he's not been too good for Chelsea, but you look at his numbers. 8 goals, 1 assist?
Yeah.
In about 18 Premier League games. I mean, if you look at the numbers, somebody will say, yeah, for starters, for somebody who's playing the Premier League for the very first time, is decent. But the general talk,
we all know it's very deceiving.
the general talk about him is the overall play of him.
You know, there's this Chi song that Uomua Enyema Ufrimusua Entosi, but that's too harsh. The truth is this, but in all honesty, you can Nicholas Jackson, if you watch football, if you are not like obsessed with stats, as in, let me go watch the stats, I didn't watch the game.
Yeah.
You watch a full game, you do not get really impressed with him. I keep on saying that this is a Chelsea. Chelsea has seen a lot of good strikers. But this is what you get. This is the direction the current ownership wants for the club. Because the team is now dependent on players who are not yet proven, like Nicholas Jackson, players who are not yet proven, like Cole Palmer, players who are not yet proven, like Armando Broja, players who are not yet proven, like Caicedo.
Yeah.
The thing, the problem currently is this, and you can see it running through the Middlesbrough game, where because Chelsea, or I think Mauricio Pochettino does not trust Broja enough, he didn't play any recognized striker and played Cole Palmer in that number 9 when we saw how dreadful Cole Palmer was in that position. So, in and of itself, I can say Chelsea are missing Nicholas Jackson a little bit. I feel reluctant to admit it.
At the same time, they won't miss
because this was supposed to be the chance for Armando Broja to shine. And I think against Preston, he did well. Yeah. He got a goal, a good header. So you would think Mauricio Pochettino will follow it up in the Carabao Cup to play Armando Broja in the number 9 position, and then Cole Palmer is playing behind the striker because I think that's where he thrives. Yeah. But playing Palmer rather as the number 9 against as a false 9 against Middlesbrough, to me as a spectator when I was watching the game, what it communicates to me is that he probably doesn't trust
him that much.
But if you juxtapose that to Nicholas Jackson, I don't think he's always had any problem starting Nicholas Jackson. So I think in the lens of Mauricio Pochettino, Chelsea is missing Nicholas Jackson. But I believe that this was an opportunity for Armando Broja to have a claim in the starting lineup. But you never know. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow being a London derby and probably Pochettino learning from the loss against Middlesbrough, he's going to probably start Armando Broja, because if you have a striker, it reminds me of Mourinho's debacle in Madrid, where he didn't want to start Benzema, and he came against the club president that I don't have any strikers, and the sporting director said you have a striker on the bench. So it's something like that. If you do not have Nicholas Jackson because he's out playing in Senegal, you do have Armando Broja. So it's time he played him, and I think he will learn from his lesson.
Well, Emmanuel, let's look at Fulham. Marco Silva would have to present a depleted squad. I said depleted squad because he's got 3 players in the hold or have left for the AFCON. So I'm looking at Alex Iwobi, Calvin Bassey, and then Fode Balotiri, who plays for Senegal. But if you look at what he's coming up against, a Chelsea side that are not too consistent, would you look at this tie and say, look, let's give it our shot. Let's give it a shot. I mean, we can go all out and get some big points against Chelsea.
Well, I do think that with Fulham, if you look at even some of the big games they've played in, they've been impressive. Talk of the 4-3 loss at Anfield against Liverpool. They could have or they should have won that game. If you go up 3-2 at Anfield, you do not let your guard down for Liverpool to come back. And recently in the Premier League, they beat Arsenal. So, I mean, with the 3 players they are losing, maybe the person I'll say they will really feel the impact will be.
Okay. Because
at the back, there's Diop, Issa Diop, and then there's Tosin also. So on that side, I would say they are covered to a large extent. But it will be offers them something. He could play wide. He could play as, let's say, a central midfielder. He could also play in attacking midfield. So they would miss him in that. I mean, Baloturi, we've not seen much of him in the league. So, but for Fulham, I do think that even with the loss in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool, Liverpool had to really fight back to win. And should they have had their tactics on point and had their defense a bit settled, they could have gotten something from that game. So for Fulham, buoyed with the win against Arsenal, I don't think they should be afraid to travel. They should probably take a template of Aston Villa's win at Stamford Bridge and maybe mirror that and see if they could get something. Because Chelsea, as we can see, they are very unsettled. And with what Safu was saying, there's a lot of youth in there. And what that guarantees you, even though it guarantees you energy, it guarantees you a lot of inconsistencies. So then, if you go there and you're on your game, and you probably meet a Chelsea side who are going to miss chances like they did against Middlesbrough, and they're going to play Cole Palmer in a role where he's not going to be effective, and you take your chances, you could still win there. For Fulham, I think their coach is good enough. They have enough men to be able to go to Chelsea and give them a real problem.
Okay, but a bit longer on Cole Palmer's situation at Chelsea. So like I said, he granted an interview talking about the fact that he needed to leave to see some more game time. He's come to Chelsea. I think he's been done man in terms of creativity. And probably that's why Pochettino will look at him and be like, look, I think you've got something extra that I think that I can rely on you to play a bit more forward. But what do you think Palmer's preferred position should be? Because I've seen him, sometimes there are days when he's being played as your 10. There are days when he's being deployed on your right, on the left. I mean, I don't know what you think about that.
I think personally, with what I've seen, I think his best position is behind the striker.
Okay.
And Nicolas Jackson is not the best of strikers that is now, but even in that Luton game, you could see there's some exchange of movements and exchange of passes. So he seems to be a player who thrives on that. Defensively, I mean, he's not that good. But then you put players in their best positions where they can be most effective. And putting him up top like a 9, it looks like it's the Harvest situation all over again. So you pair him in there with a striker or wingers where there's some form of movement. He can move to the right side or the left side to form some form of a triangle with the wide forward and then the striker. Then, because I think from where he's coming from with the City mentality, they deal with a lot of players moving into spaces. And he's conversant with that. So when you put him in an area where he's restricted and he can't move around, then you're not getting the best out of him. So just play him behind the striker. Give him that free role for him to roam across the front three or the front spaces. And I think we can just see he's been Chelsea's best player.
Best player.
And I'll probably say he's the buy of the he's
and
the buy
part
of
of the
season.
interview that caught me was he was talking about the fact that look, Pep will teach you the extra things, and Pep was teaching him what foot to take the ball at, given the way the passes is being given. And I mean, would you say that has put him at that level that you can actually see that even when things are not really going well for Chelsea, he looks like one of the brightest spark in whatever Chelsea are doing.
Yeah, but then I still stand by he's not the finished product.
Okay.
You see, and that's the difference between a team like Chelsea and a team like Man City. Because they can afford to let Cole Palmer go. And who do they have there? They've got Bernardo Silva, who can play in that role or play in midfield. They've gotten Jeremy Doku. They've gotten Jack Grealish. They've gotten Folding. They've gotten an Alvarez who can play as a 9 on the wing.
And these days, he's even introducing Rico Lewis, Oscar Bob.
So that's who Cole Palmer would have been. His play would have been like Rico Lewis or Oscar Bob. But for him to leave, it's like Oscar Bob, who is now the big boss of Chelsea. He's the one everything goes through. It says a lot. But I think with time and the kind of manager Pep Guardiola is, he would have learned a lot. As to, we've seen players the caliber of Riyad Mahrez who go into Manchester City and are not even getting the look in. They are not getting consistent playing. So the move to Chelsea, don't get it wrong, it was a good decision, especially as the Euros is coming up. He believes that he's got it back.
Yeah, he needs to be starting games for England.
But it's time for him to back it up. I think he would get that experience with Pochettino. I don't think he would have gotten it as much as he would have gotten with Guardiola. But I think he will get a little bit with Pochettino. And you know, these are professional athletes. They watch their videos, they try to be better. So I think I agree with him, but I think coming to Chelsea was the right move for him.
Is it the right thing to do, to press the button and say, look, let's let go of Mauricio Pochettino?
Oh, I'm hearing a name like Hansi Flick.
Yeah, I mean, he's been given a two-game ultimatum that
no, because the truth
if it
is,
doesn't
if
win,
you let Pochettino go, who is coming through?
Hansi Flick in his last job wasn't impressive.
But we've seen Hansi Flick at his highest. He won the Champions League at his highest. He played some kind of football when he was at his peak. And I've seen Pochettino too at his highest at Spurs. Yeah, they were good, but he couldn't achieve as much as.
He took them places where they've never been before.
I think that's the Champions League final. I mean.
My biases would be to, I think Hansi Flick as a manager has enough experience, more experience. Assistant coach for Germany in the 2006 World Cup. He's been assistant for Bayern for a long time. Took over Bayern, was great. Even a coach like Thomas Tuchel is having. Coaches have their bads, but I believe in his philosophy and his style of play. I've never been able to pinpoint something and say, that's Mauricio Pochettino's style of play. Nah, I've not been able to say that, but at least I know Hans has this German machine football in him.
Probably Pochettino's style of play is to give opportunities to young players. That's what his. I mean, no disrespect to him.
Yes, I mean,
but
he brought the best out of those Dele Alli and all those players at Spurs.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you think about the Hansi Flick thing. If it's the right decision, because I think because if you want to go by the Chelsea project, and that's from the owners, they are saying it, that it's just to give opportunities to young players and to express themselves, and it's a long-term project. That's why we've seen contracts being dished out to players like 7, 8, and that kind of thing. I don't know if you think that is. Do you think it's the right step, or you think that is one step taken and 3 steps backwards?
I mean, we can go into the whole financials when it comes to the 8 and 10-year contracts Chelsea are handing out to players. But for me, just as I said, if you want to assemble a team of young players, these kind of things are bound to happen. And at least Pochettino has a track record of knowing how to harness young talent into something good. We saw it at Spurs. Over the period he was there, as I said, he took them places where nobody had been able to take them. And even in that Champions League run, I think they beat Citi, they beat Ajax. So they did pretty well. So I think that's the mindset behind why Chelsea brought him in. And I think it's too early to sack him. Maybe give him a full season, let him know his players, let him know how they settle into his philosophy and all those things. Then next season, if let's say by December, he's nowhere near the top 5, top 6, then you can sack him. But now I think it will be too early.
Well, too early to sack Mauricio Pochettino. He's a manager for Chelsea Football Club. They are in action later tomorrow, against Fulham. Live video commentary, one place to be, Citi 97.3 from our partners in the UK Talk Sports. Now let's get to the defending champions, Manchester City. They also beat Sheffield by 2-1. Let's check out that, and then we'll be back to their game against Newcastle United. All right, so that's it. Manchester City picking up a very big win against Sheffield United. City actually ended 2023 on a very stellar note, winning trophies just for fun. And their latest trophy to add to the trophy cabinet is what they did at the FIFA Club World Cup. This weekend, they're up against Newcastle United, and that's a big game. Look, it's a big game, regardless of how you want to look at it, especially on the back of Newcastle United, the form dip. Looking to pick up from what they did last season. I was thinking that, look, they gradually putting themselves in that space of a big team, but it will take time. But let me start off with you, Nubo. So people were talking about the fact that, look, Manchester City had a very topsy-turvy run and began to ride them out of the title race. What do you think about Pep Guardiola's team currently, and what he can do starting from the game against Newcastle United?
I mean, we've seen this time and time again that Pep's season actually starts somewhere in January. That's when he will go on a 12 to 14 match unbeaten run and things like that. So for City, and we know their talisman is Kevin De Bruyne. He's back. He said he's back. According to himself, he's back. And he got an assist in the FA Cup, I believe. So now it looks like the team is set. But as I was saying, if you look at Liverpool, I think after 2022, when they were competing on all fronts, I think of 4 trophies, they were chasing 4 trophies or something. It can be very draining. But we've not seen that from this City team. In as much as they've not been that impressive, they're only 5 points off the top, and they have a game in hand.
They have a game in hand too.
Exactly. So if they win that game, then it narrows it down to 2 points. And should push come to pool and they need to beat Liverpool to win the league, that's something they can do. So I think for City, it's just down to how fit they will be.
Yeah.
If they lose maybe a player like Rodri, then you say, okay, we've seen this season.
And we saw it in
earlier this season.
Yeah, when Rodri sat out, I think 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, 2 or 3 games.
Some 2 suspensions, and you could tell.
Yeah, you could tell that yes, he's actually the glue that puts everything together. So for me, once they are fit and they get on the road, I don't think there's any team that can stop them. Probably Liverpool, because they have proven that they can do it. But outside Liverpool, I mean, Arsenal tried last season. We saw how that miserably ended.
So talk to me about Newcastle United. Eddie, how is one manager who's I mean, people will say you don't make excuses for losing out to players to injuries. Poch has got his own stuff to talk about. Pep has seen a bit of that. I mean, Klopp himself, but Newcastle themselves are losing key players.
See,
I think they have the longest injury list now.
Yeah,
they have about 10.
Out.
Yeah, they have about 10 or 11 first team players out.
I might be wrong, but they are going to get beaten. City are
at
St. James's Park. No, because you see, I feel like the role of Joe Linton in that team
is crucial.
Is really we tend not to give an eye to it. They had this Arsenal kid who was in the midfield.
Willock. He's also
Willock. Oh, Willock has been injured for a long time. Willock, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton.
Yeah.
They were really that, just like how we are talking about Rodri's significance.
Those 3 were the engine.
They were the engine of that Newcastle team. Even Bruno Guimaraes was, even normally when they bought him, he's not a DM. He's more of an attacking player, but he had to adapt. And the reason why his adaptation was very easy was because he had someone like Joe Linton, who is also like a hard worker. He was a forward player who had been transitioned into a midfielder. Yeah. And he made the team tick. Now what you have is an 18-year-old Miley who is trying his best, partnering Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton. Yeah. Now Joe Linton is no longer there.
No more there.
I don't know who they are going to.
I think they'll play Longstaff. That's the only option, obviously.
And slowly they are sipping into, they are becoming that pre-Saudi Arabia Newcastle team, which and you can't blame them. Yeah. Their injury list is so long, and it's like their players never come back from injury. It's an unfortunate situation to be in, and I think the truth of the matter is, I don't even think Newcastle themselves expected themselves to be in this position. Their meteoric rise was just phenomenal. The truth of the matter is, I think in this game, their fortunes contrast that of Manchester City, because Manchester City have their injured players returning. De Bruyne is back.
Going.
Doku is back. Yeah. Currently the only one they don't have is Haaland. And they've shown time and time out that even without Haaland, they would perform. So it makes it. They'll put up a fight. Don't get me wrong. They still have Alexander Isak, Almiron leading the forward line, but even Trippier is not even making returns in game. They have Nick Pope out. Dubravka has come in and have fitted well. They provided a spirited performance against Liverpool. But then you expect that to happen with Liverpool. Sometimes things can get messy a little bit. But when you meet a team like Manchester City, who I believe are quite disciplined when it comes to seeing out games, and I think have this renewed hope and reassurance, especially with the return of Kevin De Bruyne. Yes, I know it's at St. James Park, but I think they are going to get beat.
Wow. Would you say that Newcastle's commitment in Europe this season has played a part in whatever they want to do in the Premier League? Because I think that the target for Eddie Howe probably was to get this team again playing Champions League football next season. But you look at the current run they've got, look, things are looking really bleak for them.
I mean, their form is rotten. I think they've lost, 5 of their last 6 games, if I remember correctly. Their only win is against Brighton. That was, I think, at the beginning of December or so. I think myself and Yao, we've had this discussion where, for me, I think Newcastle overachieved. With just 1 or 2 signings from the doldrums of relegation, they got themselves into top 4. And that is the problem. With the way they play, I think nothing has changed much, but then you can realize that playing an extra game every week for players who are not used to that is what has been their demise this season. So you realize that it's the same things they used to do last season. They are just slower at doing it. So teams are getting the better of them. So a typical look is the game against Nottingham Forest at home where they lost. It's the same thing they are trying to do. When they lose the ball, the midfielders push up, try to get the ball early. But this time around, they are just not able to do it. And then the injuries, long list of injuries. At least they have a semblance of their back four together. I mean, outside Dubravka. And you'd think they would, if they really want to sustain their fortunes in the top four, they should have gone for a keeper like De Gea, who's available, because we know Dubravka. The reason why he's number 2 is because he's not good enough. So he's just an error or 2 away.
Yeah.
But I mean, in that Liverpool game, he was fantastic. I think he made about 8 or 9 saves.
Yeah.
He's the reason why the scoreline remained sane, even though he ended 4-2. So for me, Newcastle, can they put up a fight? Yes, it's at St. James's Park, they'll put up a spirited performance. But recency bias has showed us that is not enough, because Chris Wood puts 3 past them.
Yeah.
And Newcastle, I mean, can you imagine? Manchester City are managing the brightest minutes. It shows you how they're in cruise control, actually.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know. I don't know if the St. James's Park crowd can be able to push them and do something, but on paper, it doesn't look good for them.
Oh, well.
It doesn't look good for them.
Okay. Let's see how Newcastle fare against Manchester City. One other team that is in a bit of, I don't know what to call it, doing everything, but yet it's still not working for them, is Manchester United. 2023 wasn't good for them. They lost to Nottingham Forest at a City ground, and it was Nuno Espirito Santo guiding his team to a very big win against the Red Devils. Let's check out that, and then we'll build up to what to expect against Spurs. Welcome back. This is the Premier League preview show on Citi TV. My name is Gabriel Fair, doing this with Emmanuel Nubuo and Kwame Oheneba Safo. You can also send in your thoughts. I will display the WhatsApp text lines in a bit. Is Manchester United taking on Spurs? Yes, that's one of the big games to look forward to in week 21. But let's check out how Spurs fared against Bournemouth. Then when we come back, we'll build up to that game. All right, so that's how Spurs did it at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Bournemouth. They put 3 past the Sherries, and Spurs have actually added Werner to the attacking setup they've actually got for the rest of the season. Next on the list for them is against Manchester United, and I was just talking to the guys about what Timo Werner would bring to this team, and I don't know what, but I mean, that's Spurs last win in the match week 20. They are getting to match week 21. So let me start off with you, Postecoglou. He's brought in Werner, and I mean, I don't know what you think about what Werner will add to this team. Left Chelsea, he's back to the Premier League again.
I see. I'm sure Timo Werner is a nice guy, but
Actually, what do you mean by that?
the reason he left Chelsea to Leipzig is, he found his feet at Leipzig, so he's going back to Leipzig to cook. Couldn't cook anything at Leipzig. And it was shocking. He became a bench warmer at Leipzig. Okay. This is a Leipzig team that was really open for him to. So when I heard that Timo Werner was going to Spurs, I was like, what did they see? What are the stats? What's going on here? I don't know what they see, but maybe he's there to come and execute a specific task. By my humble opinion, I think it was highly unnecessary. They could have gotten, if it's a Son backup they want, there are a lot of players on the market they could have gotten. I think maybe they are looking at the Premier League experience
he's got.
Yeah. But the Premier League experience he has was missing sitters and missing open goals.
I know you're being too harsh on Werner.
No, that's why I started by saying I think it's a,
but I mean, it's a loan. I mean, it's not an outright buy.
So it will make sense about that. But I'm struggling to still understand that purchase. Because you have a front line of Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, who has been underperforming, and in his past, he has 5 goals in his past 5 games, so picking up a bit of form. Maybe it's for the squad depth, but even if he's going to, I'm going to struggle to see how he even breaks into the starting lineup, because my front 3 would be Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, Kulusevski, and you have Bentancur recovering from injury. So I don't know how he fits inside. It's still a buy that's still perplexing to me.
Okay. I mean, Safa said it all with Werner, but let's talk about the game itself against Manchester United. United themselves are in a different form. I mean, just blown hot and cold this season a lot more. They are going to...
a lot more cold than hot, obviously.
They are going to side Postecoglou's Spurs, who are are very driven, especially when they are playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. What are we to expect from these two teams, I mean?
I think they'll be playing at Old Trafford because Spurs actually won 2-0 in the first encounter. For me, if this game was being played with the fully fit United and the fully fit Spurs, I'd say Spurs has the edge. But funny enough, I tend to lean towards United in this game. Because Spurs are losing the anchor of their midfield, both of them. Bissouma is not around, Salah is not around, their talisman up front, Son is not around. So those are three key players who they are going to play without. Yes, Bentancur is back, but he hasn't played any proper football in a long while. And then Richarlison, it seems to have found some form. But then with what we do know, Van der Ven is back. I think he was on the bench in the Burnley game, so I'm guessing he starts this game. They've also got this general defender in. Today I watched his last game. I think it was against AC Milan. He didn't look bad at all. So he seems to fit what Postecoglou wants to do. Defenders who are comfortable with the ball and like to push for it. But if we want to take notes from the Manchester City game, where that team was barely stripped to the bones. I think they had Royale and Ben Davies playing as centre backs, and he still went to Manchester City and got a result playing the way he wants to play. It means that's the same thing they are going to do at United. And what United love is a team that will play high line and probably not press so much because they just need to find the ball to Rashford or Garnacho. They're willing to run.
But would Rashford bury them? I mean, you look at his form this season for United.
I mean, he had a good finish against Nottingham Forest. That was a cool finish. So, given the chances, I mean, I wouldn't bet against him not scoring. But with the way they set up and they being light on personnel, that's what makes me think that, I mean, United obviously nowadays, they don't even like the ball. They are a better counter-attacking team than a possession-based team. So if that's how Spurs are going to set out with their not two best players around, I think United, especially playing at home, may have the edge a bit here.
Well, let's see how the two teams fare. But let's get a thought of United boss Erik ten Hag. All right, so that's United boss there, Erik ten Hag, speaking ahead of the game against Tottenham Hotspurs. Kwame, sorry. Quick thoughts on the game. What should we expect from these two teams?
You know, historically, United has always had Spurs' number at Old Trafford, but in Spurs' past 11 games, they've won 4 times at Old Trafford. The reason why I would not be swayed by the City comparison is because, you know, certain teams just have certain teams' numbers. And City seems to have, Spurs seems to have City's number because City are yet to even win at the London Stadium. So it's one of those things. But when it comes to Manchester United, even the reverse fixture where Spurs won 2-0 was one of those games you will be deceived by the scoreline. United were very good in that game. They missed a lot of their chances. But just like Nubo said, if you are going to play a high line against and you are not going to repent in your ways after all you've learned, you are not repentant. You still want to play a high line against a team who I believe Manchester United since the day of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is molded to be a counter-attacking team. Who are they losing? Amrabat. They didn't really need Amrabat.
Onana is out.
Onana is playing.
Onana will play.
I won't even have a say. I want to even have a bite.
After.
I want to have a bite on this whole Onana thing. I think he should stay. See, Onana deserves to do whatever he wants to do.
He shouldn't go to the AFCON?
If he wants to play just a game, he should. Because I feel like, I even said this the last time on the show, the disrespect the guy suffered just because Rigobert Song didn't want to play a player who plays from the back. It's not being spoken about enough.
But then why answer the call then? That's my issue.
Because they thought Onana suddenly found favor when he performed good at Inter Milan. When he was in the finals, and then he's Cameroonian. He becomes one of the highest paid goalkeepers. And all of a sudden, he's getting call-ups. He shouldn't have even honored it. I feel like he was hugely disrespected at the World Cup, but that's another story for another time. They having Onana, they do not lose much, but I think he would leave after this game. This game is very important. And outside with Nubo, I think that the odds favor Manchester United in this game because Spurs are depleted, and yes, they found the results against Manchester City when they were depleted. But I think this is going to be, that was a game that was really predominant on City wanting to have the ball. But I think Manchester United is a team who would be okay with Spurs dictating the pace of the game and having the ball and getting them on the counter attack, and they're not going to spare them. I personally was not impressed with United's performance against Wigan on Monday. I watched that game and it was a ball fest, wasting of chances. It had to take a little bit of Bruno's chemishes and buying penalties to win that game. But then
penalties.
The second the goal they scored, the second
no,
goal, he had to go buy a penalty. But that aside, even with that performance, I still believe that playing at Old Trafford with the crowd behind them, and I know Ange is going to play a high line, even with a skeletal team going to play a high line. And I would want to see Radu's performance, at least with that. He has a quick player.
Yeah.
But even with that, still, can he match the pace of players like Garnacho? Can he match the pace of Højlund? I still feel Højlund still being able to break this goal thing would be able to find.
This will be his moment.
It will be a very open game, and I think it will be a very interesting game to watch.
Okay. But so let's get the thoughts of Spurs manager Ange Postecoglou speaking. All right, so that's Spurs boss Ange Postecoglou speaking ahead of that big game against Manchester United later tomorrow. Guys, predictions time. Quick one, y'all. Kwame, sorry.
2-1. Manchester United.
I think United
United
like just like the Villa game.
Oh, okay. So 5 goals dropping.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
let's see how that game fares. Remember that I've got live video commentary for you on Citi 97.3. So do join us, build up, and then we pick up that commentary feed from our partners in the UK, Talk Sports. But now let's get to the second part of the show. That part that I really like, and I call it, or we call it, the debate. All right, so welcome back. This is the Premier League preview show, and it's time to get talking. And once on the table today, we are getting to the camp of Liverpool, and there's one man who's going to lead Egypt probably to an 8th AFCON title. We don't know what ever will happen. Actually, some Liverpool fans want Egypt out of the group stage quick so that Mohamed Salah will just come and continue with what he's done for Liverpool this season. So we are talking about the man, Mohamed Salah. He scored or assisted half of Liverpool's goals this season. Liverpool have scored 43 goals this season, and Salah has been key in whatever Jurgen Klopp's side are doing. Charlie. Guys, that's on the table to talk about today. Kwame, I mean, you look at Salah's numbers, not just his numbers, the overall play, what he's done for this team. He's going to the AFCON. Depending on how Egypt would fare, it means that Liverpool are going to continuously miss Mohamed Salah's services for whatever they want to be doing. They are leading the table. They've got a lot of tricky games you want to put. There's a tie against Chelsea, I believe, and some other games to Arsenal in there.
Arsenal, Chelsea, Burnley, Brentford, I think.
Charlie, those are tough ties. The man in that Liverpool setup you probably want to rely on or sometimes make things happen for Liverpool's strength. He's also picking up a bit of an injury. Things are not looking good, I want to put it. But, I mean, Klopp will come out and say his last bite, he said, was that he trusts his forward, the forward he's got. So I looked at Luis Diaz's numbers. I look at Diogo Jota, and I look at Darwin Núñez. When you combine their goals, it's just 13 goals. And Salah has scored more goals than the combined front three. I don't know here, Kwame, I don't know. What do you think about Salah's absence?
So, historically and statistically, Salah has missed 10 games for Liverpool in previous years, including other AFCON outings. Okay. And out of those 10 games Salah has missed for Liverpool, Liverpool has gone ahead to win 7 of those games, and they've drawn 3.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you look at that, it looks like a big blow, but Liverpool do manage without Salah.
Okay.
I looked at some of those past games, and I think mostly they were against Everton, Crystal Palace, Burnley. The wins were 2-1, I think 3-1, 1-0. They were not by much.
Huge scoreline. So just trying to.
The only problem this time around is I feel like the fix, and yeah, they drew 1-1 with Manchester United, and Adam Lallana 80-something minutes equalizer. Yeah. So historically, they've played without Salah. The only problem is I feel like the fixtures currently are a little bit more daunting, and
As compared to the previous
As compared
one.
to the previous ones.
Okay.
And these fixtures are the Chelsea-Arsenal game.
Yeah.
This is my thinking. I think they will not miss him. I think Trent will be a huge miss.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is because we saw Liverpool against Arsenal last weekend in the FA Cup. They managed to score without him. They were fine up front. We saw them against Newcastle. They were fine up front. You see, the beauty about this Liverpool team is the unpredictability in their forward lineup. Anyone can do a job. Jota all of a sudden seems like a very important man. Nunes with his chaotic football seems like he can get you something. Gakpo can come off the bench and get you something. Even Liverpool fans, I know, is like, this is the most inshallah and vibes team they've seen forward line they've seen in quite a long while. So the front line can conjure something for you.
Luis Diaz is also
Luis
there.
Diaz, you see, the thing is that on the right-hand side, Salah has just cemented that place that most of the players rarely play there. So it's going to be something novel for them. But then even a player like Harvey Elliott has been spoken about a lot.
Because he looks like the direct replacement for Salah in terms of a player who is a left footer.
The only reason he played in the midfield on Friday is because Szoboszlai was out injured. But Szoboszlai is expected to be back. So for the front line, they just have too many options to experiment so many things, and Klopp can get his instructions to the players as to how they want to play.
So Liverpool will not miss Salah. Essentially, that's what you're trying to say.
I don't think they will miss him that much.
Okay.
I don't think they will miss him that much. I'm just concerned about for the Chelsea game. You know, on the normal, I wouldn't have been concerned for the Chelsea game. But Chelsea just have this thing. They just have this epiphany for showing up against the big boys, and that's why I come through. Because that would have been a game I can easily overlook and say, "Oh, this Chelsea team are not serious." But then Chelsea just have a way of showing up against the big boys, and that's why I can't count those games out. So it's the Chelsea game and the Arsenal game.
Okay.
Because I feel like by that
you want
time,
to see how Liverpool will fare against.
yes, because I think Arsenal would have picked up by then, because Arsenal cannot get worse than they are performing currently. So those are the two games, and it's sad because you compare it to Manchester City's fixtures, the games they have. They have Everton, Crystal Palace, and it's setting up perfectly. If Liverpool do not figure it out, we can be having Manchester City can start the gap now with these 5 games coming.
Okay, Liverpool, talk to me. Just tell me Liverpool will miss Salah.
I think Liverpool will miss Salah, but would it affect their title run? That's where I would say no.
Okay.
Because in 2022, they proved that when there was Salah and Mane in the AFCON, they both went to the final.
They survived.
They came back and pushed Manchester to just win the league by 1 point. So for me, I think if Jota was still out, that's when I'll be worried. And in the last 2 games, against Arsenal and against Fulham, he has shown that he can be that player where he can drop deep and connect with the other 2 players playing either side on field. A lot of mention has been done about Elliott, but in the 2 games he has played as Salah's direct replacement, he hasn't done well. And for me, I believe it's because he has been made to play so much in midfield. I think he's forgotten to play as a winger, and that's the issue. So for me, if Szoboszlai is coming back, I think anybody in the Gakpo or Diaz or anybody around that side, so far as Jota is in there and he can link up between the 2 of them, I think Liverpool will find goals. Liverpool don't have a problem creating chances. If you look at the chance creating chart, I think Liverpool is first or second or so. And even with Salah's stats, if Nunes has been more decisive in his finishing, he should have had more assists by now. So for Liverpool, chance creation is not a problem. The only problem is that, yes, they'll leak in 1 or 2 goals, but they'll make up for it up front. So will they miss Salah? Oh, yes. Especially in the past 2 seasons, Salah has become more of a creative person. We are seeing his playmaking ability. You look at the first game this season against Chelsea, that pass to Luis Diaz, the outside foot pass, he's giving 3 assists or so. So we are seeing the more creative side of him. But I think Liverpool have enough up front to be able to survive this period when Salah will not be around.
Okay, so let's see how Liverpool fare without Salah's absence. I know the Liverpool fans will be hoping that Egypt will lose against Mozambique, and Ghana. They'll lose against Ghana, and lose against Cape Verde, and just come and be like, yeah, we've got someone back. But before we go, let's just check out the fixtures once again. Week 21. Yeah, so there you have it. On Friday, Burnley take on Luton at the Turf Moor. Saturday has got Chelsea taking on Fulham. Newcastle United will face Manchester City. Sunday has got 2 fixtures: Everton, Aston Villa, and then Spurs, Manchester United. So that's it, week 21. You know the place to be for live radio commentary, Citi 97.3 just join us every weekend. We've got top-notch analysis for you. Yes, so that's it for today's edition of the Premier League Preview Show. Guys, thank you so much, Kwame Safo Oheneba and Emmanuel Nubo. My name is Gabi Ofe. We're back same time next week, Friday, 4 p.m. There's only one place to watch, Citi TV.